This is TWiT.
What'd you think of the Watch 4? Because
so they added these. There are some features they added which I think they were coy and they didn't say if they're going to work on the older versions or not. But if your heart rate is too low, they're actually going to start warning you now, as opposed to if your heart rate is abnormally high, right? So there's other warnings that probably will just work on the older models, but they weren't specifically saying you only get this with the Apple Watch 4, right? One thing you definitely will only get with the new one is the electrocardiograph thing, which I think is novel and a cool idea, and that they're even pursuing. I don't think it's done yet, but they're going to have FDA certification or whatever. They've met all of the things for this to actually be a certified device that can take a reliable ECG, which I think is cool, especially if you're a kind of person that needs to actually be recording that stuff and trying to get it to your dock for any particular reason. Very handy to have, sort of a now standard, just a watch device that can just do that. And it's not like they added $100 or $200 to the cost of the thing just for it to do this extra, medical grade function, right? Which is pretty cool in my mind. That the whole during the keynote though, every time they showed the screen and talked about how it was 30% bigger and they were showing content on the screen and comparing and showing compared to look at how much further out it goes closer to the bezel, right? Every time that happened, even in that picture right there, if you look at it, the regular Apple Watch is on the right with the older screen. So it's only a couple of millimeters further out. So that's not 30% bigger. So I just kind of don't know where they're getting that from.
They've reduced. It looks like they've reduced. It looks like they've reduced the space between sort of the edge of the display and the edge of the bezel with the way they've got it constructed, and they've gone from 38 millimeter to 42 millimeter, 40 millimeter to 44 millimeter. It's not edge to edge, which is one of the things we were reading about during the leaking phase of this. But it's crazy, right? As silly as this sounds, right? The 44 millimeter, I'm going to quote TechCrunch here, now displays 977 square millimeters versus the 3's 740 square millimeters, while the 40 millimeter case is 759 square millimeters to the 3's 563 square millimeters. So
that's probably a legit 30%. It just in the pictures, man, it really doesn't show
super
up.
Familiar. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because the other thing they did is in terms of filling out, when you look at it in terms of filling, the case isn't much bigger. It's a curious choice. I think it, aesthetically, I actually think it looks better. The back looks a lot. The back of it's crazy because of the hardware they stuffed in there to do the electrocardiogram, 30 seconds. I'm actually kind of super curious about this. The Apple Watch Model 1 was a super disappointment for me. But when they finally got to the second and third versions of the operating system, things got a lot more interesting. But it seems like you can finally do a lot of interesting stuff on the phone, and with the additional complications, you get a lot of information on the phone fairly quickly. Also, was fascinating. Oh,
they did throw the senior citizen play in there with the fall detection, right? So now they're trying to, trying to get you to get grandma one of these.
Can you clap twice to alert the authorities? Detecting afibrillation, kind of crazy. Detect atrial fibrillation. There it is. The watch got cleared by the FDA for direct-to-consumer purchase, a first for over-the-counter offerings for electrocardiogram-enabled devices. So, not the first ECG-enabled device to receive FDA clearance. So, be interesting to watch people taking EKGs of themselves on the bus and freaking out. That'll be a very Bay Area thing.
Somebody going back and forth between taking their pulse with their hand and then sticking their finger on their watch and
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. you know, I was a holdout. I didn't get one until the 3rd generation. You know, still don't regret it. Like I'm not like.
How's about one? Good.
It's been fine for me. Nobody's confirmed this that I've seen anywhere, but I got the one without the cell radio in it. I'm pretty sure it has the same size battery as the one that has the cell radio in it. Right. Meaning that where most people were getting, you know, like a day, if they were lucky, out of their 1st or 2nd generation Apple Watches, like this thing will go like 3 days, sometimes breaking into like the 4th day before I need to throw it on the charger. So I think that kind of cheats the system a little bit if you get one and you don't use the cell functionality, or you don't even get the one with the cell radio. You know, because they had to build it to have enough oomph in that battery to be able to support phone calls over cellular. And if you don't need that function, which I don't, you know, I'll just use my phone or at least have it on me. I'm not that sporty of a guy that I need to go on the run and don't want the added weight of the telephone in my pocket. Right. So
there you have it.
Yeah.